All right.
There you go.
I got the lovely robot voice telling me we're good. So, all right. Well, we'll give this a go. And yeah, really interested in hearing any feedback. But that was another thing too that we wanted to recognize is that, we do meet once a month, but this time and time slot might not work for everybody. So, we'll be monitoring some of the views that we get as we go on and continue these recordings and kind of see how we can continue to improve our accessibility. So, with a heavy heart, I'll dive right in. As you can see, our good friend Jose, I can't see who all's on the call. I'm not sure if he's here or not, but we had some news. Jose was ended up resigning from the board. He got a new opportunity down in California. He's actually going to be relocating, but I know I personally wanted to extend my heartfelt thank you, and he was around far before myself, but just wanted to give an opportunity to just say, thank you, Jose, for everything you've done. You've been a huge impact on our community. And words can't even really explain, all of the wonderful work you put in, especially through some challenging times with COVID and whatnot. So definitely hats off, big applause. Thank you, Jose. Yeah, you will definitely be missed. And yeah, just thank you for everything that you've done over the past multiple years within the board. Um, cool. So we can continue down the list here on my end. So I did want to just announce that we did have two new board members, which is really exciting. So we have Leslie, and I'm sorry if I butcher your last names, but we'll give it a go. Leslie Holland and Juan Vildosola. So I think we have both on the line here, but just wanted to alert everybody that we do have a couple new board members, and I don't know if you want to just both of you, if you are on, maybe just unmute for a second, just introduce yourself and say hi to the rest of the group.
Hello everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm Juan and I'm volunteering right now with video production and translation in Spanish.
Yeah. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, we're really excited to have Juan. That was another piece of our accessibility journey that we're excited about is offering more Spanish speaking communication and potentially translating our meeting notes and going from there. So we're all super excited and happy to have Juan join the team. Leslie, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Sorry for having my camera off. I'm a little under the weather today, but I'm excited to be here. I've been in the neighborhood since December 2019 and really looking forward to just becoming a more active part of our community. And I'm joining the board as an at-large member, and I'll be assisting Carol with outreach this year.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you both. And yeah, really excited. And we do still, we have a fairly full board, knocking on wood right now. But we always have some additional opportunities. So if anybody else is interested as the year goes on or want to spread the word to allow others to potentially join, we definitely have the opportunity. So yeah, really, really excited. It's shaping up to be a really good year. Next on the agenda here is there is a legislative town hall. I'm reaching over to my normal junk mail, but I'm assuming most of you got a couple of these mailers here from Travis Nelson's office and also the rest of our legislators down in Salem. But there is a town hall happening tomorrow evening. That is Tuesday, January 10th at 6:30 p.m. at the St. John's Community Center. That's just right over on Central for those that don't know. But we as a board will be attending sparsely just based on who is available. And so definitely feel free to stop by and say hi, but we will not have any sort of agenda in that meeting. It's more just to really be about, out and about within the community. But I think it is a great opportunity to not only listen to hear, what our legislative partners are going to be doing down in Salem throughout this new legislative session, but also allowing them to kind of meet and greet. And I think it's really cool that such an event is happening, in our neighborhood because they they are representing multiple neighborhoods, right, within their districts. So yeah, really, really exciting. A handful of us will be there where we're trying to potentially put together a couple little handouts or whatnot. But definitely for all of those on, if you're interested, I would highly recommend attending. I believe it's also going to be streamed on Rep Dexter's Facebook page. But yeah, if anybody is interested, I would highly recommend. And we can definitely report back if there's any additional news on the next meeting as well. Donna, I see your hand is raised.
Well, I thought I'd just mention, if for anybody who's not aware, that, St. John's Cathedral Park used to be part of one state representative district and Senate district, and now St. John's is in one district and Cathedral Park is in another. So there will be a representative for each of those districts and the senator for each of those districts.
Yeah, and it's even a little messier, I think, Donna, too. Yeah, of course, it's not a perfect line because they're actually the state boundaries compared to what we designate as neighborhood boundaries are not the same, which isn't ideal. So I think there's like a couple blocks here or there within technically St. John's that fall under, Rep Dexter. Anyway, no, that's a great point. But
the dividing line for the state districts goes to Lombard, whereas for the neighborhood, it's like 2 blocks further, south of there. So it's just 2 blocks off. But yeah, small sliver of St. John's is technically in Rep Dexter's district. Anybody like south of Lombard.
Yeah. But no, that's a great call. But yeah, we're really excited. One of our big things too is we want to definitely, meet. I personally haven't met Travis yet, which is my rep where I personally live. But I do know that he is also working out of the Kenton Firehouse, which is North Portland Neighborhood Services, just on the road as well. So he's around, and he's in North Portland, working up here as well. So yeah, really excited. I'm looking forward to it personally. Yeah, and then going down the list here, so we do have some NPNS updates. I'll save you all the nitty-gritty details, but there were some insurance lapses that happened from the city. We all are insured as board members, and we do have some general liability for some of our community events. But yeah, long story short, essentially, there was a little bit of a lapse in the director's insurance, which caused us to just be extra precautious and not host our hybrid meetings as that was kind of being sorted out. But I did get confirmation from North Portland Neighborhood Services that it looks like we are insured and we are looking good getting back into 2023. So I haven't discussed this with the board specifically, so we can discuss this separately as well. But we definitely want to potentially look at getting back to hybrid meetings at St. John's Church. So potentially penciling in our February, which would be, I believe, February 13th. If I'm flipping the calendar right now, 13th, yes. So potentially targeting February 13th as another hybrid meeting, as I know some of you all and some of your neighbors and friends in the neighborhood seem to like that. So we'll shoot for February. We'll definitely be sure to communicate that out within our newsletter and other communication channels. But in the meantime, we're all really excited about having that insurance hopefully being resolved for the time being. Great. And then I had 2 little community updates here. And sorry, before we get to you, Donna, Janelle, just wanted to give you a heads up. I know we didn't have a chance to chat, but just wanted to see if you could just give a quick update on the Safe Rest Village after Donna. So that's the only thing I have on here for you, is just a couple sentences would be great. But first, I will kick it over to Donna if you want to give some community updates on your end.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I just put in the chat the link to our St. John's North Portland Emergency Route Facebook page. So to bring you up to date, if you're not already familiar, after an earthquake, we will be separated from the rest of Portland because all of the bridges over the cut will collapse. They're all over 100 years old. They will collapse. And the other 3 sides of the peninsula will liquefy, meaning the ground will be unstable. There'll be no driving down to the river with your boat or anything. The St. John's Bridge, even if it's standing, which it may be standing, nobody's going to want to go in that direction because that's over toward the CEI hub where all the tank farms are. They're going to rupture, most of them. They're that old. We may have fires on the river. There'll certainly be debris. That's not a direction anybody's going to want to go. So basically, we're going to be trapped without any ingress or egress. And although everybody certainly should be preparing some supplies for themselves, we can't go that long without supplies. We don't have a medical facility. Families will probably be separated at the time of an earthquake. So we need a way to get in and out. And in fact, regional authorities have denoted Columbia and Lombard as emergency routes. But again, they won't be when those bridges collapse. So a group of folks, and we have a Facebook group, we have an email list if you don't want to be on the Facebook group. I have been working on this for a little while, and I just posted an update, and I also posted it to the regular Facebook St. John's page. So where we stand is that we're making some progress with Columbia. I mean, there are basically going to be 2 phases to get the bridges redone. The first phase is a study that determines what needs to happen. And when it comes to Columbia, that is wholly under the jurisdiction of the Portland Bureau of Transportation. So they would have the authority to create a new bridge there. And they have started an engineering study, not only of those bridges at Columbia, but some other places as well. So that is a good first step. That will tell us exactly then what would need to happen to replace the bridge. But of course, we need funding for that. As far as Lombard is, it's a little more complicated. It's a lot more complicated because the roadway belongs to ODOT and the bridge belongs to the railroad. The best chance we have with that right now is that the 2040, the Portland 2040 freight plan is being written, and a community draft will be coming out very soon. I mean, it could be any day, it could be tomorrow. And at that point, it's open for community input. And if any of you were around when we worked on the Fessenden project, at the point where it went to get funding, although this isn't yet funding, but there was community input needed, and we did a sterling job of putting in lots and lots of comments. So when this freight plan, this 2040 freight plan comes out for comment, we really want to rally the community to submit comments and say, okay, we want to have Columbia and Lombard in the freight plan. Because if they're in the freight plan, that's going to just give us a real boost as far as ultimately getting funding for the bridges to be reconstructed. So do check the Facebook page. And if you want to be on the email list, you can let me know. I'll put my email in the chat too. And then lastly, I did hear there is a rumor that the railroads may be looking at actually redoing the cut, or, I mean, because the sides of the cut, which are simply earthen, will probably collapse too during an earthquake. So I think the railroads, from what I've heard, and I'm going to try to talk to Lou Frederick, Senator Frederick, tomorrow night and see if he can tell me any more. They're possibly looking at redoing the cut, maybe widening it. And of course, any of that happens will mean new bridges. So that would be great. But for the moment, our best bet is getting in the 2040 plan. So please, read the information that I've posted on the several different pages and let me know if you have any questions or want to be on the email list. I think that's it. Any questions?
I have a question, Donna. Are we going to be bringing this topic up tomorrow in the meeting?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know that they are. So I would really encourage people, if it doesn't come up, for us to bring it up, because all four of our elected folks in the legislature, I mean, the two representatives, two senators, really should be, I mean, we have had representation on meetings, you know, when we've done some community meetings about this. Three of the four elected officials have had people from their office there. So they are aware of what's going on. It would be nice, though, if they could just acknowledge tomorrow night that, yes, they're aware, yes, they're supportive, yes, they would, you know, give comments on the 2040 freight plan. So that would be good if we, you know, to make sure that they know we're thinking about it. Because as with any other project like this, they react when they know the community is concerned, and the community being not one or two people, but a bunch of people. So yeah, thanks for mentioning that.
Yeah, makes sense. And I remember, I think one time that we spoke, you were also talking about like one of the city council meetings on Wednesdays that was going to be a hearing or something like that. So
and that's good. We can keep asking them to be pretty, but now they have to be pretty.
Well, we've been to council meetings, and as I say, that's PBOT basically, and PBOT is moving on the Columbia part as far as the engineering study. So the best thing we could do now is make sure we get tons of comments on the 2040 freight plan supporting Columbia and Lombard being secured. And they are supposed to be emergency routes. I mean, they have been designated emergency routes. So, you know, either they are or they're not. And if the bridges are going to fall apart, which they will, they're not emergency routes. So,
Hey Donna, I actually did have two quick questions. The first one you may or may not know, but I was curious with, you know, obviously our crossings across the cut, but do you know, has there been any research or looking into, what is it, North Portland Road up to Marine Drive? Is that?
I can tell you that the maps, the liquefaction maps, in other words, the maps that show the areas that are going to liquefy, show that everything above the slough is going to liquefy. So there is going to be no route, you know, going up that direction. So yeah, that's out. In fact, the reason we definitely want to have both Columbia and Lombard secured is that Columbia can possibly liquefy. PBOT told us it depends on the weather conditions. If it has been very rainy and the soil is already saturated, then Columbia could also liquefy. So, I mean, that's sort of where it all starts, going sort of in the northerly direction. So
Yeah, definitely. Okay.
yeah.
No, great information. And then sorry, the last thing too was, do you know where, for some folks that might not have Facebook, are there other resources or areas to kind of look at? Or I know you and I will definitely be in touch when it comes to like newsletters and whatnot, but I was just curious.
I have an email list, and I'm happy to put anybody on it, and I'll send out updates. And if people have a specific question, you know, some information they want that I know where we can get it, I will, you know, individually let them know. So I'll put my email in the chat right now, and anybody can use that to sign up for the email list.
Perfect. Awesome. I see Seamus has their hand up. I don't know. You have a question?
I do. Hey Donna, Seamus here.
Hey,
Can you
Seamus.
all hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
I wonder. I mean, I've been tracking this for a while now with the net team, and just, you know, whatever, and share all of your concerns. The idea of having putting a lot of effort behind having, was it Lombard and Fessenden as part?
No,
Columbia
Lombard and Columbia. Yeah.
Lombard and Columbia as designated freight routes, with the sort of the impetus being to get them designated that, so that they would get treatment to be more seismically sound. Is there any drawback to that because as we know, freight has a huge, well, it has positive effects to our neighborhood, but also many negative effects to our neighborhood. So has anybody kind of thought about what there, are there any negative effects to having them designated as freight routes? I mean, they're already designated as freight routes, but what exactly is it that would be changing in this plan?
What would be changing? Well, I mean, I think the idea is that if they're in the plan, it just emphasizes again how important they are and gives us some, some more support for getting funding for the bridges being rebuilt. The Willamette Bridge is also in the liquefaction zone. So that's really, and Fessenden, of course, doesn't really go anywhere. It's not and it's not a freight route. So I think by sort of, being associated with the freight routes, it helps us ultimately get funding.
I got
Is that what
that makes sense. I'll take a look at the plan and see.
I think the point of Lombard is it's the high point. It's the spine of the peninsula that goes out here. If you, I don't know if you've ever noticed it, but it's the high point. One side goes to the Willamette, the other one goes to Columbia. So that's why, I'm sure that's why they're designating it. And I don't think, that can't be changed, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, Seamus, maybe what you might be kind of worried about that, and correct me if I'm not correct here, but probably just worried about, like, is designating this and working through to get all the effort to build and reinforce the bridge is going to increase the freight load. And I don't believe that necessarily would be the case, right? It's more for this emergency response, getting freight in, like, look, we might need emergency freight, response to an extent with Red Cross and what have you, right? Whenever that does happen. And so, right, Donna, that's the focus here, really.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Okay.
And Daniela just asked about Portsmouth and University Park. Well, one of the people who's associated with the University Park Neighborhood Association has also been following this and working with us. And Portsmouth knows about this. Those of us, although both of those neighborhoods are on the other side of the cut, I mean, they are vulnerable in some other ways because there is a railroad bridge in their neighborhoods that will collapse. They will have Columbia, though, assuming Columbia is still okay. Those of us on this side of the cut, which is St. John's and Cathedral Park and Rivergate, of course, are the most vulnerable. But as I say, somebody from University Park is working with us as well. And the Portsmouth folks are following this.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, thanks for all your effort, Donna, and we'll definitely keep the community informed as we learn more. And yeah, I'm interested to hear and see if we can get that on the legislative radar as well tomorrow. So yeah, if there's no further updates, I think we're probably going to move on. Yeah, Janelle, I didn't know if I know we shared a little bit back and forth, but if you could just provide even just the smallest little update on the Peninsula Crossing Trail Safe Rest Village.
Actually, I can, because I just got an email today.
Great.
It was an email after the fact. They're doing trenching for sewer lines. They apologize profusely for communicating with us after the work began. That is as far as they've gotten at this point. The preparation for the trenching work and the sewer work is for future construction. They're supposed to be working on an FAQ and updates and getting it out to us. As soon as I have that, I will share that here. But for now, that happened. I happened to get the email earlier today, so the timing is perfect. But if you guys are starting to see sewer lines and work happening, they're preparing it for laying utilities.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you. And as a reminder, obviously that is not in our neighborhood association, but definitely impacts the neighborhood, and we all drive by it one way or another on our, hopefully, will be safer crossings after
Yes.
Donna's work. And then Janelle, I think you also mentioned there was a permit filed potentially?
There was a permit filed for it, and I don't think they could have began the sewer trenching without that. But
Gotcha.
That's as far as it's gotten so far. There is no notification. We have no idea as to whether or not they have selected a program manager. And as far as I know, they haven't, because nobody has been willing to step up to want to do that. So
Yes. Yeah, and I've heard, within our chairs meeting, I know Tom is very, very much involved with this in University Park as well.
Right.
And so, yeah, if I hear anything on my side as well, I'll bring that back to the community. But yeah, there is no program manager yet for Sunderland,
No.
and from my understanding, that is fairly turnkey. Once that program manager is found, it
Yes.
is somewhat ready to go. So yeah, no, I think a lot more work to be done, but I guess in a positive light, there is movement happening one way or another. So yeah,
Mhm.
thank you, Janelle,
Welcome.
for that update, and we'll definitely keep everybody informed as we hear more. So that's all I had from my end from a chair side. So I'm going to just continue. I'll bring my slideshow back up here and just keep going down the list. So next on my list, according to the agenda, was Vice Chair RJ. I just grabbed a couple here, but if you want to give some updates on your end, that'd be great.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you. Hello, everybody. One quick housekeeping thing. If you could make sure that your first and last name is included in your name on Zoom, just so we can keep for the meeting minutes. Drew will greatly appreciate that. So first thing first, we're going to do another solve cleanup. We did one in October. This is a photo from it. We had about 23 or 24 people out, got about 25 bags of trash disposed of, went through the business district. And so in February, we want to do another solve cleanup, potentially anywhere in the neighborhood. And so we don't want to limit it. We want to get input about whether there's, a certain area we're seeing that really needs it or not. But so I've dropped a survey in the chat. If you're willing to fill that out, that'd be great. Just try to get as much feedback as possible. And then the next week or two, we can update about where that cleanup will be, an exact date and time for it. And yeah, can move forward with that in February, which then the next sort of cleanup event after that will be on Earth Day in April, on April 22nd. We want to grant from Metro. Oh, its survey is not working. I don't know. Well, if there's an issue, you can always just, that should be what pops up for you. So if there's any issue with it though, feel free to just drop in the chat. I can record it on my end. Or you can message me directly as well. If you want to just send me a direct message and I can record it on my end too. So in April, we want to grant through Metro to do a bulk waste cleanup event. So Saturday, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., Roosevelt High School, April 22nd. We will be able to have disposal of regular trash, recycling, compost, but we'll also have a hazardous sort of disposal team there for things like light bulbs and other items like that are a little bit harder to dispose of usually, and potentially a few other stations there doing a few different things. So there's more details to come on that. But definitely mark the calendars for April 22nd to get rid of that like annoying thing in your garage that you've been waiting to get rid of. And then from there, in case you're sensing a theme, my kind of specialty for right now is cleanup events. And so moving forward after that, throughout the rest of this year, we will have 3 additional cleanup events, a few more solve cleanups, and then there was a discussion around leaf cleanup and leaf cleanup issues this year. And so we're going to get ahead of it and put on the books to do some kind of event in the, late fall, late November, early December. It seemed like the leaves were coming down this year. And so we can line up that event and do that to make sure that we've got safe sidewalks for everyone in the neighborhood. So just kind of mapping out the year of our cleanup schedule. That is it for me right now, I believe. So happy to move it along.
Cool, thanks, RJ. Yeah, and I know too. Just in the background, we can discuss it as we learn more information. But for those that were around last year working with Frog Ferry, they have reached out to kind of rekindle some conversations as politicians are kind of changing around, and also as you know, our neighborhood association board obviously has had some changes lately too. So no real major news there, but we did agree to kind of meet with them and get the latest understanding on kind of where Frog Ferry is potentially at. And so if there's any additional updates there, we'll be sure to get everybody informed this year. Okay, we'll jump to treasurer. So I will stop sharing this, and Bernadine, I can pull up your Excel document. 1 second. Let me share this again. Hopefully that's not too small for everybody, but Bernadine, you want to take it away?
Yeah, okay, this is for our general checking account. This is from the last general meeting, December 12th to yesterday, last night. We started out with $1,803.77. We had no income. We had one expense, and that was from the Department of Justice for Oregon. That was our And the reason it's came in December 14th, even though it was way in before the deadline that the state says it needed to be in, which was back in November, was the fact when I called the Department of Justice trying to track it down, they were 5 weeks behind in processing forms and filings and checks that had come in. So he says it probably wouldn't get done for another week or so. And that's when it did come through. So that's why, if anybody knows anything else, you know, this is why it's showing up now, because this is when it came in. So we have a balance of $1,783.77. We have a Day of the Child restricted funds of $262.62. That means we have unrestricted $1,541.15. And I'll just let you know, the reason I'm reading all of this off as some of you are looking at it is because those that have called in on a phone, they don't see it. So, you know, they're not able to see it, so they can at least hear what we've got going on. Our next account is the art fund. Nothing has changed in it. Balance from last general was $100.04. No income, no expenses. We have $100.04. Then on to bottle drop. We started from last general meeting with $283.55. Bags dropped, totaled $27.62. Then we had an online donation, meaning somebody had their personal green bag account and they went into it and donated to us $10. So our income is $37.62. We had no expenses, and our balance is $321.17. Any questions?
No, I think that looks great. Thank you, Bernadine.
Okay.
And then, yeah, for those I think that may be wondering, you know, what are we going to be potentially looking at doing with some of these funds and whatnot? You know, obviously, as we get into the new year, you know, working with Bernadine, there may be some small costs from like an outreach standpoint if we want to try and reach some folks that maybe aren't as aware, or some other areas where we're looking is really where those dollars are going. But yeah, the bottle drop, you know, I don't want to speak for you, but was, yeah, really, really great to see in December. But that has been a very successful program. If anybody isn't aware or needs more information, if you are interested, Bernadine manages our bottle drop account, which is a blue bag, which goes entirely into our 501c3 little account here by just recycling and dropping your bags off at Safeway or Delta Park if you're going to Lowe's or something. But it's a really great program, and we include it at the bottom of every newsletter if you have one of those, or you can just reach out directly to Bernadine if anybody is additionally interested. So yeah, thank you, Bernadine.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to jump down to safety and livability. So first off, I know Austin's wearing two hats here, but do you mind maybe running through PSAC notes and then we can dive into Safer Together?
Let's see. Can I share my screen?
Yeah, everyone has permission, so you can. There you go.
Okay, so between the months of November and December, the Portland Police Bureau was sharing with us that homicide rates have gone up. I asked Sergeant Huntinghouse, what was the cause of the rise in homicide rates, and he said that there wasn't just like one cause, but I mean, there's definitely been homicides related to gangs, drugs, camp, and domestic violence. Now that most of the larger camps have been cleared out, the police are now helping to follow up on like shoplifters, which has been a big problem. And Officer Huntinghouse was talking about how during the winter time, theft is going up, car theft especially. So one of the things we can all do to try and prevent that from happening is not leaving anything visible in our cars. He was even saying that, some people will break a window to grab change out of a car because it's just so quick that there's not really a big barrier to them doing it. So the best thing we can do is to try and keep things, not visible in our vehicles. So I've actually had my car broken into, so I can attest to that. All it took was them seeing a backpack in there, and that was it. Okay, let me scroll down a little bit here. He did mention that the city has a Safe Blocks program, which will provide a free safety assessment of your home or business. And I can post a hyperlink there in the chat in just a minute. And then we had a guest speaker from PDX 311. And so I'm going to pull up the flyer here. And so basically, in a nutshell, 311, in case you're not aware, is kind of like calling 911. It's another service to call, except the focus is on like helping the community reach government. So the idea is that, if you any question, if you have a question, a request, or you want to report something and you want it to go to the city, then you can call 311 and you can talk to someone. And the benefit of more and more people using this is that it will free up 911 services. So it's very important that we kind of like share with everyone. And I thought what was really cool is that they're kind of like expanding the services. They have it in multiple languages. They can even if the language isn't one that they have on hand, they can call an interpreter, and after a few minutes, they might be able to get someone to talk in the language that's needed. They're working on expanding into a chat feature potentially this year. And I know that they're going to expand into weekend hours. So currently they're not available on the weekends. So then if you would just be calling like non-emergency, which isn't like super great because that's the non-emergency line is actually taken by the same callers as 911. So it doesn't, even though you might think like, oh, I'm keeping the line open for 911 callers, it's actually the same people. So I was not aware of that, but 301 is a great service, and also on our newsletter, I put links for a few other languages, including Spanish. So in our newsletter, if you wanted to have access to some other languages, we have those available. And I think that was about it for safety and livability. And then Patrick, did you want me to switch over to Safer Together?
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind jumping into Safer Together, unless there's any specific questions from the North Portland PSAC or safety livability related.
Oh yeah, sorry. Did anyone have any questions?
Is that flyer for 311 going to go up on our website?
That is a great question. Yeah, I don't see why it can't. Let's definitely, I think it's a great resource. And yeah, Liz looks like is asking for the same. So that is posted online, right? Austin, can you just maybe hyperlink to that or I can actually help you here while you're screen sharing. I think I have an access to that right now.
Oh, okay.
I think I saw Donna with your hand raised. Sorry.
Yeah, as long as we're talking about this, maybe this is something we can just kind of have roll around our heads for a while. Some of you, if you've been on Facebook, may have noticed that I posted something about having fallen because of some foliage that somebody had extending across the sidewalk. It wasn't dense, but it was tricky enough that I ended up tripping over it. And as I walk around, which I do quite a bit, I see so many places where in front of people's houses, there's foliage taking up, much of the sidewalk. There's, wet leaves, of course. I mean, there's just obstructions. And I wonder if we couldn't think about maybe creating a flyer that we could put out in the spring or whenever to remind people that, for safety, that sidewalks really need to be clear. I mean, people, whether it's, anybody, and of course, if you're older and you fall, there's more potential danger. And then, people with strollers, people in wheelchairs. I mean, I've seen situations, not rarely, where you have to almost go out in the street to get around. And I just wonder if maybe that's something, just some community education about the significance of that, and that it really makes a difference to a lot of people if you've got these obstructions on your sidewalks. So anyways, I'm just throwing it out there. I think we could probably do something about it.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good call. That could be something potentially too. Maybe we can try and coincide with like an Earth Day communication, just to, I'm sure like PBOT or some other agency has some sort of best practices of just, it's really just like neighbor kind of, just, making sure that it is accessible, I think, right, for all of us, right? We're all walking, whether it's, for various reasons, one way or another, walking, rolling, or however you're getting around. And yeah, I don't disagree with you, Don. I walk my dog every day, and I see some of those challenges as well. So yeah, no, I think that's that's definitely a good shout. And from whatever we can do as SJNA, at least include something as like maybe like a nice neighbor reminder, if you will, within the newsletter of just, making sure you're thinking of others, right? As I think sometimes it's easy to get stuck in an area where you might not be. So no, I think that's a great call out, Donna.
And I'll just throw out, I think that's the best approach, of course, but somebody pointed out to me on one of the discussions, that they're new here and they didn't know also that there actually you are legally responsible for, if you're a homeowner, for the sidewalk in front of your house. And if you're if you're managing or own a multi-unit building, then you're responsible. But that people can actually be sued I mean, if you trip over something in front of somebody's house on their sidewalk that they had not tended to, they're liable. And I think a lot of people maybe don't realize that either. So, I mean, that could be added at the end or something.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'll check around with some other resources and see, and to see, what sort of information is out there, if there's any sort of best practices. And looks like Mary is chiming in here. Enforcement is complaint driven. Yeah, definitely. And I think, yeah.
Well, that's true that enforcement is complaint driven, but legally, it is a requirement, which means that if somebody got hurt, you could be sued.
Yeah.
So that's a separate thing from the
exactly.
enforcement,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, the
I
city,
think people don't think-
right, the city will send you a citation, and then if you don't do whatever the issue is, they'll continue to do that, and fines. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, there is a the pdxreporter.org does have a problematic vegetation. Not that we want to just like start I mean, I think Patrick, you were on the right idea of like kind of like more public awareness route, rather than just being like, let's just start finding everyone who has blackberries, because we all do. But there are some ways we can actually make the city aware of really dangerous either sidewalks or vegetation. You can take a picture of it and report it. Not saying that's like what we want to do for everything, but there is that option as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, it goes back to kind of my biggest thing too, is like just talking to your neighbors, or I don't know, not saying you specifically, Donna, but just in general, the more people that are maybe do see someone maybe out in the yard and say, hey, like, I tripped on this thing, walking by or whatnot. I think those sorts of approaches, I think, do tend to be a bit more of that community focused sort of route, as opposed to just, sending in 10 reports, right? Austin, I think to your point. And then Caroline, also, I see your note here in the chat too, overgrown sidewalks, and there may have elderly homeowners who are unable to maintain their own yards and more, can't afford services, etc. Yeah. So I think that could be another opportunity too. Like if there is a potential, I'm just spitballing here, but just thinking of some ideas, a community effort to potentially help, some of those neighbors, or, it's not going to be solved, I think, by just pointing to and looking at the city to kind of resolve from a reporting standpoint. But I think the more we can talk to each other and work through some of those pieces. Let's see here. Sorry. Maybe a flyer, we can create a picture too. Yeah, definitely. Without obviously showing, or necessarily painting someone's yard specifically as a bad scenario, but I think some examples would be great. But yeah, let's keep that in mind as we get into spring. everybody's yards are fairly dormant right now, but everybody's yards are going to go crazy here once the weather gets nicer. So no, that's a great suggestion. We'll definitely keep that in mind.
Yeah,
I think that could be a talking point at the neighborhood block parties, to identify where people need some help. There might be people who would be willing to do so.
Yeah, definitely.
And we could work it into the, each year planning to do a leaf cleanup of sorts in the late fall. You work that into it to where it's both awareness for cleaning, if you're able, cleaning your own sidewalk, having this event in a highly visible area, but then potentially you could even, have a request, assistance, and we take a Saturday and go to places where, to that point, if somebody's requesting, I can't physically do it or whatnot, like maybe we have a little, almost like an adoptive block, but you can, we can take care of those areas if somebody requests assistance or something like that. I don't know. There's a lot of options potentially, but I think that leaf cleanup in general can be used for whatever solutions we decide. It's both taking action, but also awareness and all that at one time. So I know that's a little bit farther away, but we can then get a consistent, every year we do that event. We also do the awareness campaign. We also do all that stuff. And so just becomes a consistent reminder.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of cool ideas. We're right at the beginning of the year, so I love it. I'll jot that down now. We'll keep that in mind. Thank you. All right. Austin, we want to kick it back to you to go through Safer Together?
Sure. All right. So I'm sure many of you know, but some of you may not know that we're working with the city to receive some funding for a project for the Portland Bureau of Emergency Management, which we received a grant to basically do a project in the community that helps us with emergency preparedness, and something that well, our project Safer Together, we are going to be putting together some block parties, and with the idea that, you know, people are going to be able, you know, we've been so isolated with COVID that we may not have had the opportunity to really reach out to our neighbors and get to know them, and see what resources we have, you know, just, you know, down the street. So this is really going to be like a chance for us to kind of celebrate coming out of COVID, and also having some emergency preparedness, more of an introduction. It's not going to be like an in-depth emergency preparedness presentation, but really just getting people thinking about being prepared, thinking about what happens in a disaster, how can we, you know, what can we do, and starting that thinking with people, and then also creating phone trees and getting people connected. So really just kind of like an all-in-one. And we're also going to be working with the Portland Net team to provide some of that information at these block parties.
Austin, can you make your screen a little bit bigger? Is that possible?
Perhaps
for legibility.
Let's see. Is that helping?
Yes, that's much better. Yeah, thank you.
Oh yeah, sure, no problem. So that's kind of the general what is it, and then the next thing is, you know, what are we doing for the project in the short term, and basically we're going to be planning, because we need to plan, you know, how things are going to go, and so we're going to be having a meeting to talk about those things. So people who are really interested in maybe hosting a block party in their street, or just want to get involved and really get involved with this community opportunity, we're going to be having a meeting in January 21st at 10 a.m. And Paul, if you want to leave your email there in the chat, and I'll do that as well in a minute. You know, if people want to reach out to one of us, we can add you to the list of people. And yeah, just kind of winging it here. So if anyone had any questions, feel free to ask. But yeah, basically we're in the planning stages. We don't quite have the funding yet from the city, but that's kind of to be expected because of the holidays. So, but that's doesn't mean we can't start the planning process. So that's kind of where we're at.
Austin, I also put the link to people that are interested in hosting, just an automatic sign up in the chat.
Oh, thanks, Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Real quick, is this meeting, the kickoff, going to be over Zoom?
No.
Oh, it's in person. Okay.
That's the plan.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, we're all you know, definitely really interested to get into this. It's going to be quite the undertaking. So Austin, would you mind resharing real quick?
Oh yeah, no problem.
And yeah, Donna wanted to kind of see a few things maybe from the first or second page there, but yeah, no, I definitely want to say, you know, we're really interested in seeing this come to life. It's going to be a lot of work, but you know, we got Paul and Austin on it. We're definitely, you know, really in the weeds here. Yeah. So how about this? Yeah, perfect. Yeah. So a lot of really interesting stuff coming. So, we'll definitely be able to be sure to communicate that out to the community as well. But yeah, Paul, don't want to speak for you, but the 30 block parties is going to be quite the task. But yeah, anybody that's interested, there's a link in the form to take a look. But yeah, Paul, I don't know, did you have anything else to add?
No, like I say, the first 5 hosts are easy. We already have them. It's the last 5 that are going to be hard. And so, and one has offered to help document these as they roll out. And I think we can use some media in a way to sort of build up excitement and reality around what it takes to do it and what it's like when you do it and how rewarding, I hope, it will be.
Definitely. This might be a dumb question, but are there restrictions for hosting a block party in Cathedral Park neighborhood?
I'm not sure. The block permits are through Portland directly, so I don't see why that would be an issue.
Okay.
Yeah, we said we'd do it in St. John's, but I can't imagine that anybody at PBEM would have a problem.
Okay, perfect. Cool.
We'd tell them what we're doing.
You just invite a few friends from 2 blocks over.
Yeah, sounds good. Awesome. Yeah, thanks for the update. I think we can continue on unless you had anything else to add. So next on my list was land use. Mike, I didn't know if you had any updates, and I did have one update here at the end as well for land use.
I don't have a whole lot. There's that one on Buchanan that you had mentioned to me. I still only have user only access to the tracker, so I wasn't able to put that in there. But anyway, it's 85 North Buchanan. It's near the George Middle School. A person is adding an 830 square foot building in their backyard. Didn't sound like anything that was going to be too intrusive. I can put the information up if you'd like.
Okay. I think that sounds great, Mike. Yeah. No, I noticed too. I've been getting the mail and been checking in. It's been a bit quiet. I think maybe with the holidays. Yeah. So we'll definitely keep our eyes out. And then I did have one little update too. We actually got a communication from the Bureau of Planning and Sustainability to discuss the Columbia Corridor and Industrial Lands E-Zone project. So bit of a mouthful, but just wanted to let you know that there is some rezoning happening that is going to be impacted with designations around wildlife habitats, specifically kind of in and around wetlands or the slough. So I don't know a lot about this, but
I saw that.
The good thing that we do have is we're going to have some guest speakers here in February on the 13th present directly from that city organization to give all the specific details. They're going to have a short little presentation. So for anyone that's interested in that, definitely, be sure to mark your calendar. Be sure to mark your calendar on the February 13th, but they will be attending to provide more details there.
Also, I did contact the Friends of Pier Park about the block party, just to piggyback on that, and they're very interested. They have a meeting next week. I'm going to try to go to and see if they can get on board for that.
Perfect. Yeah, that's awesome. Great. Well, I think that's the end of my presentation here. So I'm going to just start going through at large. I think the first item of business, it doesn't look like we have Travis on. So wanted to see if we could potentially give an update that I think RJ, I'll kick it to you in a second. But for those community members that may have not been aware, we've been working with PBOT extensively over the past, I want to say 6 months, and even through the 6 weeks, and even through the holiday. But the intersection as part of the renovated Lombard section, which would be Lombard and Philadelphia there, that kind of T three-way stop right by the plaza, has had significant kind of community feedback and concerns about vehicles running that stop sign after removing the light and turning it into a three-way stop. And so we've been in communication with PBOT and working directly with their project managers. And I know this has been elevated fairly high up within their organization, but we did just get an update back from PBOT this morning, actually. So I'll kick it to RJ to maybe walk us through some of those updates for that intersection.
Yeah, so I'll go through the email and then it can answer any questions or take questions back to David if we don't have the answer there. But this was what was provided to us earlier. You may have noticed this, there were stop bars installed at the intersection to increase the visibility of the stop signs, also to differentiate this intersection from the other marked crossing along Lombard. The knockdown street light on the plaza side was also reinstalled for better visibility. Additional street lighting was slated to be installed by the end of December, but the contractor wasn't able to make that happen. So it should be within the next few weeks, there should be additional street lighting in that area. But the bigger change that's going to be made that they had to work up the chain and took a little while, they're going to move forward with a pilot of an LED blinker stop sign. So replacing all 4 stop signs at Lombard and Philadelphia. This pilot is citywide. It's going to be in a couple other locations, but we're going to be part of the pilot, this intersection. They're going to collect data before and after to get a better idea of any compliance changes, how this does affect rolls through and whatnot at the stop sign. So they're going to collect the data for a year and check the results. These stop signs, they're in a few locations in Portland already, but they're only on private property. The example offered was the Legacy Emmanuel Hospital campus. So PBOT has never installed these blinker stop signs. So it just took a little bit of extra coordination, a little bit more time to kind of get this program going. And so signs to be ordered this week, but are a couple months out on the production side. So expect to see them early spring, he says. And so, yeah, basically the data collected will be the pilot will inform whether or not PBOT will add this to their standard toolkit. In case people are wondering, I can briefly share here just to show the tab. That's what it will look like. It's got the blinking lights around it. You may have seen this before, but that's the type of stop sign they're planning to install there. I know there's something in the chat.
Yeah, there's a couple things in the chat, but I did just want to mention too that David and PBOT have committed to, if we want to include as guest speakers, to maybe discuss and communicate directly with the community on some of that feedback, as I know that that was definitely a area of improvement that a lot of people had, and I believe David said he lives like 2 blocks away, so he had seen it kind of firsthand as well. But leading up to this, that I don't think RJ mentioned, but essentially, initially, right after some of those concerns started coming in, they started putting in surveillance monitoring, if you will. So they were watching and reviewing videotape, and they did confirm that this is a problematic area due to the rolling stops. And so, yeah, it definitely looks like they are taking this very seriously and working through it. So let's just look at these notes here, email the letter so I can let the businesses know what's going on. Yeah, Tanya, we can, it's nothing official, so it's not a official, I guess, proposal, but we will definitely send it and share it over to you all to be able to communicate out to the business community. And then it looks like, good Sam, there's a three-way. Okay, yeah, that's just some commentary. And then Liz. Yeah, we'll definitely, yep, yeah, definitely action happening, and they're moving quick. You know, from a government standpoint, I'm pretty impressed with how fast this is moving. So, yeah, a lot of really good news, and again, it's just a testament to everybody's feedback, and thank you all for bringing that concern to the table, and we definitely want to continue to do work like that. That's why we're here. It's really encouraging to see it going forward. But yeah, so that's a cool update from a PBOT standpoint. And so just going down the list from an at-large standpoint here, Leslie and Juan, I know you kind of introduced yourselves. So unless you had any other updates from your end, I think we can potentially move on past that. And do we want to kick it over, Liz, to the boosters? You might be muted if you are talking.
No, I wasn't talking. I went to go get my dinner.
Oh, sorry about that. Surprise.
I went, oh no, you didn't hear that part because I was muted, thank goodness. We don't really have any events or anything going on at the moment. We are getting ready to have our board retreat this weekend on Sunday. And just wanted to say that right now, safety and livability is also a huge concern. We've had a ton of vandalism, as you guys probably know. You might know that somebody set the community tree on fire earlier. Fires have been an issue. That's kind of the biggest issue right now, is keeping the businesses going past the holiday season, and just remembering that they're constantly having to deal with, people having behavioral episodes, or coming to work and finding your windows smashed out again, and they're doing everything they can to get gates and stuff, but it's rough. They're a really strong, resilient community. We've got great new businesses opening up, which is exciting, but you have a compassionate frame of mind when you're going through the district, that they probably are dealing with a lot of stuff you guys don't see on a regular basis.
Yeah, and can I add one really quick thing? So I just spoke with somebody from AmeriCorps that's working for the city on the bioswells. So that's those things that are in front of 3 tracks and next to homegrown smoker. And there's actually quite a bit of those in the neighborhood, not even in front of the businesses, but also on surrounding streets. And they're actually looking for people to clean those out and be stewards of those bioswells, because they only have the city coming through the St. John's 2 to 3 times a year to clean those out. So is RJ, are you the one I would be talking to about that? I'm going to have a walkthrough with that guy the beginning of February to talk about what to do with those bioswells.
Sure. Yeah, we should coordinate. I know it's definitely something when we've done cleanups in the past, you do see a lot of accumulation in those. So I definitely see that it could be a problem there. So yeah, I just forwarded you the emails referencing around the stop sign, and so feel free to just correspond via that email with me, and we can make sure we coordinate and keep up to date on that.
Perfect, thanks.
And I did have a question, actually. Yeah, we back to Liz. Do we have any updates, or maybe it's been removed and I just maybe haven't noticed that they're gone? But any updates on the old trash cans?
Yeah, so I think most of them are removed, as far as I know, and a lot of the new ones that you're probably seeing are there, and they seem to be working great. I haven't seen any problems with any. I mean, they're so much bigger, they hold so much more, and they're fun and colorful, so more visibility. Tanya, anything that you can think of on those?
No, Patrick, were you wondering about, did you want one of the old ones?
No, I don't want one, but I did notice, and this was just maybe before the holidays, but there was an old one over by, I want to say right across the street from Stormbreaker on Lombard, that didn't have a bin in it anymore, and people were still throwing a bunch of stuff in it, and it just is just a non-working trash can. And so it just got me thinking about, yeah, if all of those old ones have been removed or not.
They're supposed to. If there's something lingering like that, Anybody just shoot me an email, and I have a direct link to the guy, and they respond within the day.
Okay.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, sorry. And I'm not referring to the new ones. I'm referring to the
Yep.
old steel ones.
We
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
we know.
We know
Okay.
exactly what you're
Frames
talking
with the
about.
bin,
Yep,
we
yeah.
know.
Yeah,
all
and
Our
sorts of
favorite.
I've
wow.
reported a few of those, and so I thought they were all gone. But if there's others lingering, let me know.
All right, yeah, definitely. I'll do a little walk maybe this weekend and see if that's still there or not. No, that's great. And there was one other thing for you all. Oh yeah, just one ask for you, and we can even take this offline even. But just from the vandalism standpoint, you know, I don't know if this is for like from a boosters or a standpoint or whatnot, but one thing that we were talking about as a board is with Austin and our potential PSAC meetings, if there are kind of repeat offenders for some of this vandalism or whatnot. But is there any way that we can look at like kind of a cumulative document or running document about like when, where, you know, what the circumstance are some of these incidents happening? And then we can potentially like draft up or create some sort of, you know, let's just say last 6 months, take it to that PSAC meeting and say, hey, look, these are concerns, you know, that are happening and it is repeat. And here's like kind of some of the detail and information backing that. That was one thing we were thinking as a board.
Yeah.
Would be good to have.
And we have done those asks for like, you know, we wanted people to write down how much money they've spent, you know, counteracting the vandalism. Like, yes, are there repeat offenders? So we have tools for the businesses. Like we have a Signal app that they all use and communicate about these specific issues. We've got a private Facebook page for business owners and they talk about this stuff a lot, but actually culling the data together is more, some people are good about writing it down. Some people just are so busy and overwhelmed they can't. So while I would love also to have this document, we don't currently have one. Tanya, did you have anything further on that to say that's different or additive?
Yeah, no, it's hard. Because yes, we have been trying to get that, as Liz said. But you know, and a lot of the businesses, they're like, oh, I didn't even report it, you know, or I was on the phone for an hour and they never responded. So the businesses are pretty downtrodden right now. And to try to ask, you know, to get these asks, they all know it's needed, but it's a little hard to gather. I had planned on within the next couple of weeks actually going door to door to the businesses with a pen and paper and just asking them like, hey, you know, give me 10 minutes of your time. So it is something actually Liz and I talked about, me hitting the pavement big time within the next couple of weeks to do that.
Okay.
There are some repeat offenders who, you know, we don't share publicly people's photographs when they're maybe caught on a camera or something, but on some of these private apps and communication tools we do. So there are a couple known people that repeatedly cause problems that don't seem to get, you know, any repercussions very often. So there is that.
Yeah, and I don't want to speak, and I see there's a hand raised, so I'll make it brief, but I don't want to speak to for Austin, but I do know that, you know, within some of the focuses for some of these sorts of low-level crime, if you will, I think that is something absolutely I think would be very valuable to bring back to some of those meetings. And even if it is, it won't be a public thing. We're not going to post it on, you know, or include it in our newsletter or anything like that. But you know, from a small organization within PSAC, speaking directly to those groups, I think that is very valuable. And then, yeah, Tanya, if you do hit the ground and with that piece of paper and pencil, I think Austin, correct me if I'm wrong, but you were saying something about like the police are focusing right now a lot on like what $10,000 or more of theft, right? Organized or something like, was it?
Yeah, I mean, they were going after shoplifters who were stealing, you know, thousands of dollars worth of merchandise. So I think it's like it has to be big enough on the radar. So then I was thinking, well, if we can gather a little bit of data from the businesses here, we can kind of say like, well, look at, you know, the thousands of dollars that our, you know, community is suffering, and like maybe we can get some of that presence or that, you know, some of that attention that's going. That is very limited because as you've heard me say over the last few months, like we have a shortage of officers. they go from call to call. And I'm not playing defense for the Portland Police Bureau, but I'm just sharing with you guys or with you all that we have a shortage of officers, and it's going to be many, many months until that changes. So anything we can do to kind of like be advocates for ourselves, we're going to have to do, because there's just very limited resources to go around.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you. I'm going to go through these questions in really quickly. I do not know your name, but Friends of Baltimore Woods.
Yeah, it's Barbara Quinn. Sorry, I sort of have the wrong label on there. I just had maybe what Liz just said kind of shot down my suggestion, which would be, because there's a chance we could get a grant to get some cameras out there. But if the problem is more that the people are not being punished for the vandalism, then the cameras aren't going to really help. So yeah, that's puzzling. I know that officers have told me that they don't come out on any calls except for felonies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so Austin is definitely a lot closer to that from within our monthly PSAC meetings.
Okay.
But yeah, I think truly, like, if you think of it, especially, in my personal opinion, if it is a certain threshold of merchandise stolen or damage incurred, right, it's a lot easier to get to a specific number if you're, stealing from like Lowe's, for example, compared to a local small business, right? So that's where I think as a community we can come together and say like, hey, yeah, maybe it's only $500 here, $500 there, but as a community, we are seeing significant impacts. So that's where I think we can potentially try and pool some of those, some of that feedback and go back to the teams. Michael Brown.
Hello. Yeah, just briefly, I'm the president of the St. John's Heritage Association, also affiliated with the Roosevelt Alumni Association, worked with Bernadine in the past. So just want briefly about the Columbia Park pool. Although the city would like to believe that it's a done deal, it's still going on. As you know, Travis Nelson, that's going to be at the meeting tomorrow, was a staunch advocate for the Aquatic Center. However, that's 5 to 7 years down the road. And so when I spoke with him about 3 weeks ago, he's now advocating and believes that the Columbia Park pool should be repaired and opened as well. So I just want to encourage folks to contact the mayor, city council, especially Rubio, who's in charge of the parks, to repair and reopen Columbia Park pool. We simply cannot go that many years without an indoor year-round pool for North Portland. Of course, that would include the St. John's community. What happened this last summer was, and it's going on right now, is because when they closed down Columbia Park pool, it put pressure on Peninsula Park rather, also Pier Park. I tried to take my grandkids swimming, 95-degree day. Sorry, we're full to capacity. Took them down to the Willamette River. Sorry, there's now a toxic algae down there. So I just want to encourage people, it's not over. We're still paying these taxes, and we can't go without a pool for 5 to 7 years. So please contact the city council, and you can testify before them. I did that they give you 3-minute sessions. On early October, I testified. So thank you for the opportunity.
Cool. Thank you, Michael. And yeah, just a heads up, I did just see, I was reading the Oregonian, but City Council has had some reorg changes, and it sounds like Dan Ryan is the new Parks and Rec lead, but your point stands, and yeah, that's a great call out for the community. And I think if people are passionate about that, to definitely include. And Michael, if you want to send me an email, info at stjohnspdx.org. If there are any other, notes you wanted, we can potentially include in a newsletter if there is an upcoming discussion or whatnot to inform the community further. But yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it. And Dan Ryan is from North Portland. He attended Roosevelt, and Roosevelt used the Columbia Park pool for their practice and also the competition as well. So again, thank you so much.
Cool. Thank you. Mary.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, I just wanted to get back to the business district vandalism and damage. Sergeant Huntinghouse did reach out to me in November, I think, saying that the new captain would like to come to the neighborhood association meetings in North Portland. So hence, Patrick, I was asking people, just about the meeting dates. So that may be a good, good positive for all of you to talk to them about, the amounts of damage and so forth. It sounds like they want to hear what's going on in the neighborhood. So just an FYI, and I'm giving him that information so he can meet with you.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you, Marion. I believe I sent that over. So yeah, we
Yeah,
would love to see any additional community involvement would be amazing. So yeah, really appreciate that.
You mind if I just, for I think I need a little bit of clarity. The captain wants to go to each individual neighborhood associations meeting, and not just the chairs meeting, but like each North Portland.
That's what I got. Yeah,
Okay.
because he wanted to know when all the meetings were happening, the dates, times. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
It could be, yes. Yeah, I'm looking in the chat. Jovic, I think that's how you say it. It could be him, Austin. I'm not really sure. Most likely.
Okay. Cool. Well, really good discussions here. I am going to move it along here. We're getting a little close on time, but I believe we have David on from SJCO, but any updates on your end?
Yeah, good evening. Just a couple real quick ones. I just want to let everyone know that the storefront grant is now open, so we're accepting applications. We got a big boost in funding this year, so highly encouraging people to apply for that. We are also accepting vendor applications for the St. John's Farmers Market. So please share that news. And then this is probably the newest news I have. We are also hiring a graphic designer. It's going to be a contract position. We're looking to do some new advertising, things like that for the farmers market this year.
Awesome. Yeah, David, I just sent a note in the chat, but we included a nice little write-up in the storefront grants in our latest newsletter. So we're definitely getting the word out there and trying to help. I know that's a big piece of the community, and we all benefit from it. I can say that confidently.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. Oh, and one last thing. I can't believe I forgot about this. When you're out speaking to businesses, we are also doing, for the rest of the year, one BIPOC owned business per month. We're doing a professional photo shoot. We'll be focusing on them on our website, on our social media throughout the month. So January is Novedades Prado. They do the quinceanera dresses and a lot of other really cool stuff. So that's January, and February is going to be Projection Realty. And I've got a couple others lined up for March and April, but please help spread the word. Free professional photographs, and then the business will get those photos afterwards as well for their own purposes.
Cool. No, that's great. Yeah, thank you so much for that update. And then I do apologize, but I got a little too excited here and dove straight in, and Bernadine was nice enough to remind me we didn't approve the December meeting minutes. So I apologize briefly. I'm going to back up all the way to the start. Paul, you can wave your hands at me. You can shake your head, but hey, we'll get there. Let me pull these up very briefly and we'll send everybody on their way. So sorry about that, everybody. Let me share my screen and we'll just make this brief. Okay, if everybody can see, I will try and zoom in a little bit here. And I will scroll, and please jump in if there are any call outs to update. Otherwise, we'll just keep scrolling. I believe Leslie is spelled incorrectly here. Oh, we didn't jot down what everyone's favorite holiday dish was. I'm just kidding. All right, let's keep scrolling here. that's just a little typo. We'll fix that. All right. Do I have a motion to approve the December meeting minutes?
I'll make the motion to approve the December general minutes as corrected.
Second.
All right. All in favor, please raise your hand to approve. Okay. All right. Looks like that's a simple majority there. So again, my apologies. We're getting through it. I will restrain my excitement in February and we'll start off on the right foot there. But with that note, we are at 8:32 p.m. Past our time. So I wanted to thank everybody for joining. Again, Happy New Year to everybody. Look forward to seeing some of your faces tomorrow at the St. John's Community Center for the legislative town hall. And if not, we'll see you in February. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful
Got two with raised hands.
Oh, I think that was for voting, Bernadette.
That was voting, I think.
I don't know.
Really,
Thank
I have a small announcement.
Oh, okay. Sure.
The Friends of Baltimore Woods is sponsoring a free winter talk entitled Choosing the Best Plants for Pollinators. Has Caroline mentioned it already? Caroline, did you mention it? No?
No, go ahead, Barb.
Yeah,
I
it's
posted it on St. John's Facebook page
Oh,
and
perfect.
Friends of Baltimore Woods Facebook page.
Okay, it's February 11th, Saturday at 1 to 2:30. It's perfectly free, although we encourage donations. And once again, the title is Choosing the Best Plants for Pollinators.
Perfect.
Good.
Yeah, if there's any information, can you send me an email, info@stjohnspdx.org. We'll include it in the newsletter.
That'd be great. Okay.
Great.
Yeah, thank you.
Please send to me too, Barbara.
Okay, I'll do it.
Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Yep.
Good
Take
night.
care. Bye-bye.
Everyone.
Everyone.